Hello and welcome to Dr. Watson Talks. My name is Kaylee, a soon-to-be physician, and this is a podcast where I talk all things medicine. If you are watching on YouTube, then you see everything. If you're listening wherever you listen to podcasts, then you can always look at the references that I use on my blog or wherever really. It's drwatson.me. Otherwise, I will be trying my best to say everything out loud. But today we will be talking about applying to residency. It's kind of part of a series. I'll be doing a couple of these videos. Today is specifically about using myERAS. So we're going to look at my application. We're going to talk about how much it costs, the timeline, what you have to really do to prepare, So that's what we're going to do today. And I usually post on Wednesdays the audio and Thursdays the video, but I'll be posting this week like 3 times just because I know the applications are soon, so I just kind of want to get it out there. And then after that, I'll be getting back to my regularly scheduled podcast. So yeah, let's get into it. So first we should probably start out with what is the ERAS. If you didn't know already, ERAS is basically what is used to streamline applications. That's how they call it. Like, you basically put in everything into one application website, and then it sends it to all of the residency programs that you actually want to apply to. So I would put in my CV, letters of rec, personal statement, professional photo, and then it's also where your school can put in information like your MSPE, which is your medical student evaluation, basically, where they have all of the feedback that you've been given over time. It has your grades, and then they also submit your USMLE transcripts. So that's what your school does, or depending on your school, sometimes they have you do it or another site do it. But basically, that's where you have everything in one. And then also the ERAS is also where you can look through all these programs that are participating in it, because some programs, like if you're interested in urology or something else, then they have, or if you're interested in emergency medicine, but some emergency medicine and urology programs also participate in this, but some of them don't participate in ERAS or NRMP. So if they don't do that, then this isn't the site that you'll use, or you can use this on top of it. So it is really a good site, just because I believe before, like, everything was kind of discombobulated, but now you have everything all in one site, all your information, and you just send it off all at once. So with that being said, let's get into the timeline. So the timeline, you can purchase your token. I think it's before June 8th, but that was this year. June 8th is when the season begins. Once you have your token, you're able to start inputting things. Like, you're able to start looking at the programs that are participating. You're able to put in all of the stuff on your CV, basically. Like, you have to input every single separate thing. And then once you do that, you can start submitting it September 7th, I believe. Yeah. So this year it's September 7th. That's when you can start actually submitting everything, so that you don't have to look at it anymore, basically. But it's not due until the 16th of September. So like a week for me, like next Friday, basically. So with that, it's kind of interesting, like the 16th, it closes, you have to submit it, but programs don't see anything until the 28th. So, which is a good thing, because you tend to be stressed out. I know my biggest pet peeve or stressor has been letters of rec, like getting letters of rec. So this does allow you to still kind of hound after people. Like, you might have been stressed out that, oh my gosh, our letters of rec due the 7th, the 16th, the 28th, and they're mostly due the 28th, just because the 28th is when programs can see your information. But at the same time, some programs will accept the letters of rec until your application. So it's like, until December almost. So it just depends on the program that you're applying to. But really the best solid date is to get in those letters of rec by the 28th. Like I said, in June is when you can get the token, and you can start actually, putting in all your information. And I recommend doing it right away, because it's super time consuming, and you're still in your clinical rotations. You're at the hospital, you might be there for 50 hours, you might get lucky and you're there for only 2 days a week. So it's just better that when you have the time off, or when you have any kind of time, just start putting in information, just start work on your personal statement. That took forever for me. Like, I did like 5 revisions, and each one were pretty big revisions, and I had a couple professionals look at it. I did a whole podcast on that if you want to check that out, but that took a lot of my time. And then on top of that, really hounding these doctors about, hey, can you please write it, and then figuring out a way to not cut off all ties with them, not get on their last nerve and everything, but still manage to get that letter, because sometimes, or for me at least, a lot of them agreed, yeah, no problem, I'll write you a letter, but then you get ghosted, and it's ooh. So then you just hound them with a bunch of emails, and it's a headache. So it's just better to start doing that as soon as you possibly can. My recommendation even is, if you can, if you're a third year, you might want to even purchase your token the year before. I don't know exactly how it works. I was told that literally as soon as I was able to purchase the ERAS in my 4th year, and I wish I had purchased it in my 3rd year, because the token's $150, $160, and then if you get a letter, you can just put it in your ERAS application, and with that, you don't really have to worry about it. It doesn't look as good, because their director programs, or your program director will be able to see oh, this was dated last year, but they don't usually care that much. I mean, I don't see them really, it's a letter's a letter. You did good at that time. If anything, they shouldn't think that you got worse and worse. But I think it's just a good idea, because otherwise, if you ask for letters in 3rd year, then they're probably going to forget about you, and they're going to write you because they said yes. They're usually people of their word, but at the same time, it's not going to be a very good letter. So it's just better to get it as soon as possible. I don't know how it will be in the future, but for me, whenever I was applying for myERAS, there was just a cute little option where it was just move your letter of rec over from last time. So that sounds great. If it's so easy and simple, and in the moment you're finishing up your 6 weeks of surgery, or 12 weeks of surgery, when you're really fresh and the people really know you, you say, hey, can I please have a letter? And then you're able to give them all the information. They could submit it right away, and then you don't have to worry about it as much next year. You might only need 1 or 2 letters, which I just think that's a much more, it's better in my opinion, just because there's less to worry about. You can really focus on applying to each program properly. If they say, oh, we want you to have 5 sentences in your personal statement, specifically why we want you to come here. And I mean, I'm applying to 100 programs, so that would be hard for me to write 5 sentences, even though it's not a lot, but still per program, that's a lot. Or, you're going to want to really research each program. I mean, it's up to you, obviously, but it's just in your best interest. But if you research each program and then they give you specifics and you actually do them, where other people don't, then that puts you ahead, obviously. So it's just a good idea, start working early. You're not going to have time later. So, but yeah, back to ERAS. So the fees are horrendous. Obviously, I I always make the joke that becoming a doctor is a scam, because especially I'm an IMG, so I have to pay a bunch of extra stuff, for ESCFMG pathways. Just to take the step is $1,000 or $2,000, and then the cost of the exam. So applications, they get everybody. Even if you're a US, doesn't matter if you're a US IMG, if you're a US MD, USDO, the cost of the applications are pretty high because it's per application. But basically how it goes is that, and they have a really nice Excel kind of sheet up on the ERAS AAMC website, where you can literally just plug in oh, I think I'm going to apply 100 programs, and then you put it in and you kind of have a guess, because these are the costs that can slap you in the face. So this is another thing where I'm hey, don't procrastinate, or don't not think about this, because it's gonna punch you in the face later on. The cost of everything to get certified, the cost of everything is so much that you don't want to forget about this. I mean, it seems like we won't have to pay for the cost of flying to interviews, which is, is a good and a bad thing. As of right now, I believe they say until 2025, they won't have any in-person interviews. It's all going to be invitation only, or just usually just straight up Zoom. So as of right now, we are saving the money when it comes to travel, which is like they say like 10 grand. So that's really good to save, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, because I know that, that there's definitely a separation whenever it's from a computer screen versus like face to face. But yeah, let's actually talk about the numbers. So in terms of the fees, your first 10 for each program is $99. So if I apply to internal medicine, surgery, anesthesia, each one of those would be $100. And then, so that's $300. And then I say, okay, but I really, 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 really want surgery. So I'm actually going to apply to 100 programs of that. So the other ones are still only 100 or they're still only 99 because I only applied to 10. But the surgery will be way more. So basically what happens is 1 to 10 is $99, 11 to 20 is 19 each. So like 11 to 20 is 19 each. So whatever, 19 times whatever amount. And then 21 to 30 is $23. And then anything above 31 is $26. So what I did was I plugged in like what they have is specialty 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they have a calculator for up to 7 specialties. So I did 3 specialties just for the fun of it. So the first one I put 12. I don't know why I did that. And then the second one I put 10. And the third one I put 8. So that would be just 30 programs, and that's $500 right there. But that's all in separate residency programs, so it's gonna be a lot more expensive. The more you apply to in one specialty, the worse it is. Like I honestly really thought about clicking on select all for surgery, and there's like 300 something programs. And that would be horrendous. I think it was about $6,000, which honestly I'm still like, because I just have extreme FOMO when it comes to that, like thinking about like, what if I just didn't choose the one that would have accepted me? Like, what if I just didn't? So I don't think I would regret it, like 2 years from now, I don't think I regret it, but as of right now, my pockets would indeed regret it if I did select all. But even still, I'm applying to like 150 or something like that because I applied to the integrated at like the integrated vascular, plastics, thoracic, and then general. So I am applying to a lot of ones. And the good thing about that too is that the integrated each count is like, that separate 10. So that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and go through it again and make sure that I meet all of the requirements, so that I'm not just throwing money away. And I'm also going to, I'll get into it whenever we talk about this. So research residency programs, that's very important. Like I was just about to get into, it's very important that you plan, that you really pay attention to the programs that you plan to apply to. Otherwise, you're just going to throw money away and potentially go somewhere that you don't really like. Because sometimes, you find, say you're super interested in trauma, and then you look at their curriculum and there's no trauma, or there's 1 month in another state. So you don't really, you want to make sure that you're doing what you want for the next 5 years if you're doing surgery, for the next 3 years if you're doing internal medicine. You really want to make sure that you're paying attention to, I would be happy, even if you're somewhat desperate, like me, like my scores aren't phenomenal, I'm an IMG, so I would say that I'm desperate, but still, I don't want to go somewhere that I wouldn't want to live, I'm going to be there for 5 years, so I want to make sure that I want to live there, and also I want to make sure that, they have a good amount of trauma, because I do like trauma, and just about everything is well-rounded. If they're lacking in something, if it's a small hospital, I want to make sure that I'm going to a good hospital for what they lack. And that's usually true. A lot of programs, they're not going to send you out into the world without being a full-fledged physician. That's negligent. So usually, no matter what, you're going to get a good education. But again, it's just important to make sure that you are really reading up on each program that you're applying to. And at the same time, like I said, some random programs will have you do random things like, hey, write 5 sentences in your personal statement. If they see that you didn't, then that means you didn't pay attention. You don't care. They're not going to look at your anything. And, some places will probably, now that supplemental applications are a thing, they're probably going to be like, oh, it was optional, so they didn't do it. They're lazy. I'm not even going to look at them. Even though this is relatively new, so they don't think about it too much. It's still something, And then, if they have a random test you have to do, there's a CAS blend test, So again, just make sure that when you are applying to them, you look at myERAS. myERAS has a little paragraph per program, so you can look at that little paragraph, or I always do this. I always look at that little paragraph and I click on whatever website that they include, or I Google them and I make sure I go to that residency page, because sometimes it's like, oh, you need to have some kind of certificate by this time. You need to have this and this by this time, and if you don't, then they don't look at you. So I think it's a good idea to look at the myERAS requirements and also go to their website and look at that. I wouldn't email them right now, just because there's a bajillion people that are applying right now and you're just going to overload them and overwhelm them. So, you can, during this time, this is 2 weeks beforehand, they're probably not being overwhelmed yet, but it will happen. But yeah, and then I just also, in the blog, I also give you the 3 resources that I've used. So I've used Residency Explorer Tool, which is an AMC product, basically. I think that's the best, for sure. It's the one that, you can even, click on this, you can filter by quite a bit. You put in your own information, and then based on your information, it'll give you little circles that oh, you meet it, you are part of the 50%, or you're above the 50%, you're below the 25%, which means if you're below 25% of the applicants, that means you probably don't have much of a chance. So they look at your scores, they look at, are you a USIMG, are you how many, I really like that too. They really are good at really looking at you fully. They ask how many work experiences, research experiences, volunteer experiences, all of that, and then based on that, they tell you whether or not you're competitive, basically. And I really like them, and they're free. Residency Explorer Tool is free, and then also you can literally, if you love a couple, or if you're just researching, but if you want more information or the same amount of information but an Excel sheet to really compare, they create a Excel sheet for you, which is super cool. If you put 25 programs that you're super interested in or you want to compare, you click all of them, takes you to the next page, and it will tell you everything. Do you want to know how many of them can moonlight? Do you want to know how many of them end up getting a PhD too? How many of them end up getting fellowships? Or how many of them are USIMGs? How many have super great scores? How many are MD and PhDs? It tells you just about everything, which is, I love that about it. But that's why I really love the Residency Explorer tool. If you're going to use anything, like I said, it's free. Why not? Also, Frida is free. I always have the issue, I don't know what it is, it always logs me out or something. I don't know, but it's still good. Still a very good tool, Frida. Match a Resident, I am not a fan of. I know. I always see them on Instagram, but I felt I wasted $80 on them, because I've spent $80 on the general surgery. But then whenever I looked at it, I was like, a lot of this information isn't really true. It's supposed to be the good part of Match a Resident is that they literally call every single program, and they get the information that no one else does, blah, 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 because they call. But and they're supposed to tell you oh yeah, these are scores that they usually accept. These are, it's supposed to be almost top secret information. Not quite, but it's something like that. And then whenever I looked at their website and I paid the $80, I was like, some of this doesn't really seem true, because it ranks you oh, you're 100% match, you're so good for this one. But then I look and I'm this place has never accepted IMGs. This place doesn't I don't think I'm a match for this place at all, and you put it in my 100%. I feel this is a waste of money, and you're gonna make me waste more money too, because you make me believe that this is a good place to apply, But I don't know. If you want to save the $80, or I think it was $300 for every specialty, so I was nah. And yeah, let's get into the checklist. So this is a really good tool that myERAS gives you. Just basically, it's just highlighting what you should have or who to contact whenever you're applying to myERAS. So it's just telling you that, hey, make sure that you have these documents. So it's your personal statement, all of your letters of rec. So going into letters of rec really quick, you should have 2 at least from the program that are for the residency that you want. So if I'm just going to keep using surgery because that's what I've been using. If I'm applying for surgery, I need at least 2 letters of recommendation from a surgeon, and then I can have 1 from whoever. Like if it's an OB-GYN, whatever, I can have that 1, but they want at least 3. Like definitely it looks better if you have 4, and it looks better if all of them are from that particular, residency program, or not residency program, but from that particular specialty. So if you really want surgery, if you get 4 surgeons to write your letter of recommendation, they're going to love that. If so, try to get as many letters of recommendation as possible. Work your little tush off to do that. Try your best to make sure that you contact your chair or director of surgery for your school early on so that they make sure to write it. Sometimes they'll mentor you, which is super great. So make sure that you're really on top of that, because that will set you apart. Because a lot of people struggle with getting these letters, because if you think about it, it's taking time out of that physician's day, so it's hard for them to do. So just, be on it. And then the other ones, which are usually either uploaded by your school or ECFMG if you're an IMG, is the medical student performance evaluation or a dean's letter, your medical school transcript, and your ECFMG status report. So that's like, your clinical skills, your English level, blah, blah, blah. And then you also need your photograph. So, I went to JCPenney's, looks cute as hell. It was good. It was quick. It was easy. So if you need a photograph, I wouldn't stress about it too much. I feel like JCPenney is good enough. And, just make sure that you're not wearing your white coat. Make sure that you're wearing a blazer. You're looking relatively professional. You're smiling. And you are natural as possible. And you're not looking crazy that day. And then you'll be pretty good. And then also you're supposed to send your USMLE or COMLEX transcripts, but I know my school does that for me, so it just depends on you. And then I also forgot to mention that you save these programs. So when I said I have 150 programs, I've saved them. And that's what you spend the time doing between June and now. You look up all these residency programs, you make sure that you like them, you save them, and when you finally decide on September 16th or whenever you want to submit it beforehand, then you go ahead and you just press submit, and it goes to the ones that you saved. So now I'm just going to quickly go over my application. I have it uploaded to my blog if you want to look at it, or it's on the screen if you're on YouTube. So I just, basically this is what it looks like. It has your information at the top. It asks do you have your PALS and ACS certification, which you should have. Let's see, and then it asks you, do you have any medical license? What's your education? So mine is, I go to Ross University School of Medicine. Any awards? So I have 4 awards, medical school honors / awards. So I talked about my scholarships here. RUSM Empower Ambassador Scholarship, RUSM Howard Design Group Scholarship for Merit, RUSM Community Scholarship for Volunteerism, RUSM Success Scholarship for Merit. So those were 4, and then membership in honorary / professional societies. So I asked about if you're Alpha, Omega Alpha, or Gold Humanism Honorary Society. So I'm not part of either, but I am part of Alpha Phi Omega. That was in my college at UCF. And then I was part of the Student Government Association Honor Council representation. Yeah, representative. And then I guess I should have said that I was I don't know if this is where I would also say that I was the president and secretary of the Lifestyle Medicine Interest Group. I guess it's a professional society, but it was not really, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't include it there. I included it in my experience. But I'm also part of the American College of Surgeons, and that's from August 2022 to present. So if you are a part of anything, this is where you put it, the membership in honorary professional societies. I was going to join ASMBS, anything that you're part of, you put it there. And then asked about your education, so like my undergrad, current/prior training. I haven't had any prior training before. Experience, this is where I have a lot of experience. And honestly, I probably, like, even though I had my school writing advisor look at this, I feel like I'll probably try to look at it again. But my experience, I put that I'm a published author on Amazon, and then in the description, you have to write a description for each. Create multiple, and I talk in the present tense because it's something I'm currently doing. So create multiple books catered to medical students, including a pocket-sized H&P note template and stress-reducing coloring book. Market products to the targeted audience. So yeah, I mean, that's not super exciting, but it's something. And then YouTube partner content creator. So it goes in chronological order. So that's why it's like going down like this. But YouTube partner content creator, plan, film, edit, and post videos and other content, provide helpful tips and relatable stories for those who are currently in medical school or would like to know what it takes to become a physician. Create study tools for medical board exams. For medical board exams. Yeah, and I kind of have it like bulleted. Some I do, some I don't. So again, I'm going to have to work on the format. It kind of creates a CV for you, which is super cool. You know, like this is one that, even if you have a good-looking CV, they suggest that you send these to your physicians whenever you're talking to them, or whenever you're like asking for an OR, whenever you're doing anything. Even if you have like a nice-looking CV that you've been working on forever, they still would prefer that you give this to them because this is what they're going to expect later on. And then I was a peer tutor for my school. So this is when I talk in past tense because I'm not doing it anymore, created lesson plans tailored to fellow students, maintained the required GPA and knowledge of prior lessons/semesters. And then I was a patient care technician at Florida Hospital in Orlando. So I obtained vital signs and history from patients, ensure the comfort of the patients as they receive chemotherapy, iron, or other intravenous medication. So as you can tell, I didn't really go into these like super deep, and I feel like that's a good idea because the supplemental application, you can talk about 5 experiences in more in depth. Like it's like 300 characters or something, but if they see that you're basically saying the same thing twice, they're probably gonna be like, so you probably don't have much, like that was probably it. So, they don't want to read the same thing twice. They want to be like, oh, I understand you a little bit deeper when they read the supplemental application, if they do, but I don't think that they'll want to see the same thing twice. And if they see that, like, I feel like when they look at me, they'll see, oh, you did a variety of things, that's cool. But they're not going to want to read like an essay worth for each thing. So that's why I put like 1, 2, 3 bullets for each thing. I was a real estate agent at Keller Williams from 2018 to 2020. Used knowledge obtained for a state license to show houses and assist home buyers or sellers. Gathered data to supply customers with accurate estimate of the worth of homes based on surrounding properties. Educate customers on what is to be expected throughout the journey or selling process. And then like reading this, I'm like, oh my god. I was a pharmacy technician, executed fast and accurate assembly of prescriptions, provided customer service while operating the register drive-through, maintained knowledge of discounts and obstacles associated with each medication to better assist the patient, communicate with physicians, insurance companies, and patients in order to ensure proper treatment at an accessible cost for the patient. Okay, and then I was also a CNA. I was a TESOL English teacher. If you want to look at this, then you can either pause if you're on YouTube or look at my blog if you really want to see like literally everything that I did. I read a lot. I was also a lifeguard at Walt Disney World. That was super fun. I always include that because Walt Disney has even though it was forever ago, I was 18. I do feel like I remember that pretty well just because Walt Disney has it's super strict and they do hold you to a high level of standard. So I always like to include it. Let's see, what else did I do? And then this is where I also put Clinical Honor Council representative, president and founder of the Lifestyle Medicine Interest Group, secretary and founder. I have to tweak that a little bit. I don't know if I'll put them together or something, but I was also a student ambassador for Ross. This is something I'm really proud of, so I put a lot more. It's also one of the 5 experiences that I talked about. So I was a medical volunteer, mission trip leader, and organizer. So basically that's when I gathered 16 people. I made sure that we were able to go over there, and it was super great. I loved it. So worth it. I can always talk about that later on, like during a video or a podcast. I really want to go back. I also want to go to Honduras and volunteer there now that I'll be like a legit doctor. When I went there, I hadn't even started medical school, but we still did so much to help, and it was amazing. So yeah, I was really happy about this, and that's why I talked about it during my supplemental application. And I'm going to talk about supplemental applications in the next podcast. Going down, I was a brother in Alpha Phi Omega. I was a fellow researcher, still am a fellow researcher at Cleveland Clinic, Florida. I was a research assistant at Florida Hospital. I was a research assistant at Burnett School of Biomedical Sciences in Orlando. And then this is where it just goes into all my publications. So I have 2 peer-reviewed journal articles / abstracts. I don't know if, like, again, you should probably just look at this if you're really truly interested and want to compare notes, basically. I have the first one's laparoscopic harvesting of the inferior epigastric vessels for deep inferior epigastric perforator flap, DIEP. It was a video that was presented, or it's going to be presented at the ACS. And I put it there because technically it's a video presentation, but they always put their presentations into their journal, so it's going to end up being a journal. That's why I have it included twice, basically. I feel like it makes sense. And then there's one for JACS. So yeah, 2 peer-reviewed journal articles and abstracts, and I have 3 peer-reviewed journal articles and abstracts that haven't been published, but they seem to be like in the process. Oh, this one was published. I don't know why. Okay, so this is before I was accepted. So like 2 weeks ago, my project was accepted for Cleveland Clinic Journal of Medicine. I was first author. It was freaking awesome. So now I'm going to change this. Like, the other than published, it's published, baby, and I'm first author. So yeah, that's going to go back up there. And then poster presentations, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oral presentations, 1, 2, 3. And then peer-reviewed online publication, 1. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 publications. Pretty good. I know I have to go back and edit some of those. Some might have turned into something else. Like I said, like one of them was not published, now it's published. Some of them were probably oral, and now it's also published. So I got to go back and do that. And then after all of your publications, your research, all of that, it asks you your language fluency. So I put English, I'm a native, and then Spanish/Spanish Creole. I gotta change that. I don't know why it says /Spanish Creole, but I put good. I speak well enough to participate in most conversations. Native speakers notice some errors in my speech or my understandings, but my errors rarely cause misunderstandings, which is pretty true. I tend to speak in Spanish to a lot of patients, especially because I live in South Florida, so it's very necessary. In my spare time, I enjoy, and then I ask you about your hobbies and interests. In my spare time, I enjoy creating content for medical students or those pursuing medicine. On YouTube, I share my personal experiences in medicine and helpful resources for success in basic sciences, clinical rotations, and board exams. When my channel on YouTube was monetized after years of publishing videos, I felt incredibly validated that my content truly helped others. After my success with YouTube, I published books with Amazon, such as a SOAP note template book to simplify patient presentations. So, hobbies and interests. I don't know if I should change that, because I included that as one of my 5 experiences. So I don't know if I should change up how I worded my supplemental application or how I worded this. I feel like I like the way I did it in hobbies and interests. If that's all they read, then I think that that's kind of good. But I don't know. I'll look at my supplemental application again, because that will probably be a quicker fix, and I do like the way it comes off in hobbies and interests. And then it asks you your hometown. Mine's Fort Lauderdale. And then it just asks you other awards/accomplishments. So that's when I said I got, again, I keep bulleting things. No one really says what's right or wrong. I just like it because I like that it's like quick and easy, and like I just think it looks, more clean cut. But maybe it looks less clean cut to some people. It looks less professional, but I just like to kind of bullet it. But yeah, so other awards and accomplishments, this is where I talk about my Spanish certification. So I got Medical Spanish Level 1, Medical Spanish Level 2, Medical Spanish Level 3. Oh, nope, I put Level 2 twice. Okay, that's good. Now I know to go back and change that. I'm glad I saw that. But yeah, that was from Canopy. It's like a really good medical Spanish thing online. So that's what I did, and I made sure to put it on my other awards so that they know, like, because I said that I have good Spanish basically. So that kind of just like reinforces that like I don't know nothing, because I have heard of horror stories where people say, yeah, I know Spanish, and then as soon as they walk in, the interviewer is like talking to them in very fluent Spanish, and if you don't look like you know what you're talking about, then they know that you're a liar. So I don't want to do that. And then I have other resources here. So this is this is like a cute little thing that AAMC has, like any questions that you might have. And then I put a video of a program director talking about myERAS, and like he tells you like really he tells you what they actually do care about and how to make yourself stand out and all that good stuff. So I just threw it on there. It's a quick little YouTube video if you want to check it out. I liked it. But yeah, that's it. I got winded at the end of that. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this video. Please let me know if you have any more questions about myERAS, about applications in general. Like I said, I will have 2 other videos coming out. One of them is about letters of recommendation, how to get them, what to do with the obstacles whenever the doctor doesn't upload them, because that's what I've been dealing with, and I've learned a lot from it. And then my other one that's coming next is supplemental applications. So this is very new. Supplemental myERAS applications came out 2021, so it's something that not a lot of people know about. I didn't know about it until the last second, so I'm excited to talk about it and really get into it, and really be able to show you what's going on. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I really love doing this podcast. I hope that it's helpful, and I will get back to talking about random stuff whenever something less important is happening. I feel like applications are important, and I really want to help people, So if you hear Nico in the background, I'm sorry. He is shaking around looking for food. But yeah, thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye. Mwah.